Hello, my dear fellow Indians and future civil servants. Welcome to Lofty IAS. Today, we are going to deal with economics part for the month of May, and this would be done by way of MCQs. This would help you in preparation towards prelims 2018 for the civil services examination conducted by UPSC. Now, this is our Facebook page where you can reach out to obtain consolidated PDF of today's lecture. And before I begin off my today's lecture, this is a look of the prelim syllabus prescribed by UPSC. So there are total of 7 topics, and more importantly, you need to remember what exactly the UPSC demands. So we would suggest that you go through the previous year question papers as well. Okay, so this is our plan layout. That is something that we're going to follow for the coming months. And for every month that would take up, for example, presently we're going to take up the magazine for the month of May. Then we will start with polity. We will do these things in a chronological fashion, and for the previous 2 lectures we have done polity and this government policies part. So if you have not watched our earlier videos, go back and just watch these 2 videos. Today we're going to deal with economics, and so I think we should begin off with that now. The first question is with respect to national policy on marine fisheries 2017. Actually, there was already a policy on marine fisheries 2000 that was released in 2004, but after a committee was constituted, it suggested that there is a need to revise the existing 2004 policy, and so based on that particular policy which has been released recently, we are taking this particular question. Now this question is with respect to this particular policy, consider the following statements. The idea to revise existing 2004 policy was inspired by B. Meena Kumari report on deep sea fishing. These are correct statement, because if you read the report of B. Meena Kumari, it suggests that fishing should be allowed in exclusive economic zone, and there were few other suggestions like create a buffer zone between the near shore and the offshore region. Okay, so various suggestions were given by this particular committee, and based on that the government decided to revise the existing 2004 policy. Now the policy promotes SDG goal 15. Actually SDG goal 15 is based on life on land, but this is life underwater. So life underwater is SDG goal number 14. So this is a wrong statement. The policy is inconsistent with respect to food and agricultural organizations code of conduct for responsible fisheries. So if you would see that this policy was released in synchronization, or you can say consistency, with the guidelines of the FAO, and so this statement is incorrect because here it is written inconsistent, right? But actually this policy is actually consistent with FAO's recommendation, right? So this statement also becomes wrong. So the answer is 1 only. Now in second question, actually there were a lot of debate regarding GM mustard crop, and recently Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, which is a body to grant permission to genetically modified crops, has given an in principle approval to genetically modified mustard to be commercially produced. And the question is regarding this particular organization. I want to know it functions under which ministry. Either Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, because it deals with food and health of the health issues, because the main reason why there has been a lot of criticism and a lot of ruckus in the country was that people were believing that it is going to have ecological impact as well as health impacts on humans. So that is why a lot of debate was already going on. So we would see that this is not under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So is it under Ministry of Agriculture, because this is going to be produced by farmers alone. Now is it under Ministry of Agriculture? No. Is it under Ministry of Earth Sciences? So the Ministry of Earth Sciences or Ministry of Science and Technology is one of the same. So because it is genetically modified, does it come under Ministry of Science, Earth Sciences? No. So it actually comes under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So this forms our correct option. Question 3 is with respect to canola villages. Now what is canola? Canola is actually the name, international trade name given to the trade for mustard which is carrying lower levels of erucic acid. levels which are less than 2% in oil, and this is considered one of the healthiest option, right? One of the healthiest oil. So the canola idea for developing canola villages was given by Ludhiana-based Punjab Agricultural University, and they suggested that canola villages would help in producing and selling the oil. So the question is, does it would be a step towards bringing yellow revolution in the country? Definitely, because yellow revolution is a phenomena where we talk about exponential growth of oilseeds cultivation. So uh, if we develop these canola villages, definitely it would help in oilseed production, right? So this is correct statement. Canola quality varieties are developed from two species, Brassica napus and Brassica campestris. So this is also correct statement that canola quality varieties are developed from these two species. The answer is C. Now the third is with respect to coir production in India. What is coir? Coir is actually the fibrous mass that is extracted from the coconut husk. Now this is so let's come to the question first. Coir industry is based on two segments, white fiber and brown fiber. So this is what I want to tell you, that it is actually two types of coirs that are available in the market. One is white fiber, which is obtained from immature green coconuts, right? It is actually used for rope manufacture. On the other hand, if we talk about brown fiber, it is obtained by harvesting fully mature brown coconuts, right? And it is more stronger and is used to make objects like brushes, mats, etc. So we have this coir board which regulates the functioning of coir industries. So the question is, does it function under Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises? This is correct statement, because this actually works under this particular ministry. Kerala accounts for majority of coir industry in India. Now coir is obtained from coconut, so definitely the industries are going to be found mainly in the southern parts of the country where coconut production is seen at best, and really Kerala accounts for majority of coir industry in India. So all the above is the correct option. Now coming to the fifth question, you would see that Masala bonds generally remain in news because these are rupee denominated bonds, and the exchange rate fluctuation doesn't affect the issuer for the prices that he would get in return. Okay, and the risk is actually borne by the overseas investor. So IFC is International Financial Corporation, which had actually given this Masala bond name to the bonds issued by the Indian investor in overseas market, right, to raise capital. So I wanted to know, International Finance Corporation works as a subsidiary of. So when you would see finance, you might believe that it works under International Monetary Fund. No. It works under UNICEF. No. It works under Ministry of Finance of India. Still no. It is actually a part of World Bank Group. So you would see that World Bank Group has 5 subsidiaries. So go home, read what all these 5 subsidiaries are, and write that down in the comment section below. Right. Now, the Think 20 Task Force is referred to in context to which organization? So recently, the meeting of digital ministers took place recently, and you are supposed to tell us that Think 20 Task Force was actually formed, which included academic organizations like Observer Research Foundation of India as well. So we want to know that which particular organization had conducted that meeting and formed this particular task force. So was it EU? Maybe it talks about 20, so maybe not. BIMSTEC, maybe not. BRICS, not. So the answer is G20. For question number 7, the question is with respect to Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya. Consider the following statement. Now, Bharatiya Nirdeshak Dravya is actually developed, is a gold bar actually, which has been developed to verify the purity of gold sold in India. So this particular dravya has been developed by Indian government mint by signing an agreement with BARC and Baba Atomic Research Center and CSIR National Physical Laboratory, right? So whether it is developed to verify the purity of gold, this is correct. Developed by these 3 organizations, correct. This Indian government mint would manufacture the bars, this is correct. Technical aspects would be measured by CSIR. No, actually when it comes to technical aspects, bar would take care of these technical aspects, whereas the purity would be certified by CSIR. Okay, so this becomes wrong. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Coming to eighth question, now recently government promulgated this public procurement preference to make in India order, and there are various provisions that have been laid out in this particular order. So the statement is at least 50% of the value addition should be done in India. This is a correct statement which was there in the order. Bids would be invited only for orders of more than rupees 50 lakhs. This is true because for orders less than rupees 50 lakhs only local suppliers would be eligible, and for orders that are below rupees 5 lakhs they would be exempted from the purview of this particular order. Right now, DIPP would oversee its implementation. Definitely Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion is going to oversee its implementation. Now, fourth statement is entities from countries where Indian suppliers are not allowed to participate in bids for government procurement may be restricted. This is also true because this has been there has been a principle of condition of reciprocity that has been taken care of by the Indian government to allow foreign entities in participation. Now, so all of the above becomes the right option. With respect to Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Yojana, you have to consider the following statement. Now, the first statement is Bureau of Pharma, Public Sector Undertaking of India, BPPI, under the Department of Pharmaceuticals, within Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, coordinates implementation. So this is correct that actually this particular organization is the one that procures, then distributes and supplies the generic medicines in the markets to the Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Then generic medicines are sold at 50 to 90% lesser price compared to branded medicines. This is also a correct statement. So both 1 and 2 are correct. The country's longest bridge. You must be knowing that this bridge in Assam has recently been inaugurated by the Prime Minister of the country. So the question is, this bridge has been inaugurated over which tributary of Brahmaputra river? So was it over Diang or Dibang or Manas or Lohit? So the correct answer is it is built over Lohit river. Now the question 11 is with respect to Real Estate Regulation Act. So you are supposed to consider the following statement. The first statement is real estate regulatory authorities would be set up within 180 days after the act comes into force. So actually you would read that these authorities need to be set up within not 6 months but 1 year. Okay, so this is 1 year after the act comes into force. Appellate tribunal would have 60 days to adjudicate on the matter. So for example, some matter reaches these real estate regulatory authorities, but even then the person is not satisfied and he goes for appeal. So this appellate tribunal would adjudicate on the matter and they would have 60 days to come up with their final verdict. After that, developers have to maintain a separate escrow account to keep 75% of the project amount. This is a correct statement. One of the criticism is that rules have not been laid out for real estate agents. So actually rules have been explicitly laid out for buyers, for promoters, for developers, for agents, right? So this is not the correct statement. Only second and third are correct. Coming to 12th question, phased manufacturing program is actually launched by Indian government, and it is launched with respect to which sector? So I want to know that it is launched with respect to which sector? Was it with respect to automobile sector? Was it with respect to real estate sector? No. Is it for cellular mobiles? Correct. Is it for no, definitely cellular mobiles is the answer. So this phased manufacturing program is launched so that our share in production of mobile phones could rise, because there are a lot of mobile phone users and this is going to rise in the coming time, and the government has decided to come up with phased manufacturing program that they would provide certain tax incentives or tax relief so that manufacturing of cellular mobile phones could be increased, and definitely we could have Make in India program see the realization. 13. Which of the first Indian state has switched over from financial year April-March to January-December? So you would see that there has been a lot of big debate going on whether we should switch our financial year from April-March, which had been a colonial practice, to January-December, and if we do so, we have to see its merits, demerits, like does it help farmers during monsoon or not? Does it improve our budget cycle? So we would see that Madhya Pradesh has become the first state which has actually switched over to this particular financial year cycle, under whose supervision has central government set up a committee to suggest merits of shifting the financial year. So central government in fact set up the committee to suggest whether we should switch over to new financial year January to December. Now NKC committee was formed to review the FRBM Act. This is not correct. BS Baswan committee was set up to review the civil service examination pattern. Vivek Deva Roy committee was actually not set up, and in fact the committee which has been set up is running under the supervision of Shankar Acharya to look into the merits or demerits of shifting the financial year. Question 15 is with respect to amendments that have been brought into Banking Regulation Act. So three new sections have been added, 35AA and 35EB. So definitely I think I should here, if they give you option 35AA, 35AB, 35BB, so these are not the three sections that have been added, only two sections have been added, 35AA and 35BB. 35AA gives power to central government. See, here the powers have been given to central government to authorize RBI to issue directions for banks to initiate insolvency resolution. So actually 35AA gives power to central government to authorize RBI to issue directions for banks to initiate insolvency resolution by the banks. 35AB gives powers to RBI to issue directions. This time the powers have been given to RBI to issue directions to banks for resolution of stressed assets. So 2 and 3 becomes correct. Based on whose recommendation has the government changed the base year for WPI? WPI is Wholesale Price Index, and IIP is Index of Industrial Production. This is released by CSO in the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. WPI is released by Secretary of Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion in the Ministry of Commerce. So the government recently changed the base year of these two indexes from 2004-5 to 2011-12, because the base year for CPI and GDP is also 2011-12, and based on the recommendation of a particular committee, the government had decided to come up with these changes, and it was based on the recommended. B. Veena Kumari, you have recently read that it had given the recommendations on deep sea fishing. Vivek Devroy committee had given its recommendation on railways. It is not based on the recommendations of Arvind Panagariya, who was the vice chairman of Niti Aayog. It is actually given on the recommendation of Sumitra Chaudhary. Now consider the following with respect to GST Council. Now GST Council, you must be knowing that it actually decides what rates, what slab rates should be there, and which all items need to be included in those respective slabs. So this council takes majority of the decisions regarding the implementation of GST, and this has been constituted under Article 279A. This is correct. Union Finance Minister would be the chairperson of this council. This is also correct. It also includes finance ministers of all these states. This is also a correct statement. Now decisions would be taken by 2/3 majority, with center retaining the majority vote. So actually this is not a correct statement, because decisions are going to be taken by 2/3 majority, but the center would have 1/3 vote in that, and the states would have 2/3 state voting in that. But as Mr. Arun Jaitley, who is the finance minister of our country, he had told recently in the parliament during the launch of GST that no decision required voting, and almost all of the decisions were taken with consensus. So which statements are correct? 1, 2 and 3. So this becomes correct. Question 18 is with respect to payment banks. I have taken this question from prelims paper of 2016. I wanted to, we want that LOFTYIAS becomes one-stop solution for all your needs, and that is why we are also picking a few questions from previous year questions, so that you are well aware of the demands of UPSC and you prepare according to that only, right? So the question was, the establishment of payment banks has promoted financial inclusion, right? So consider the following statements. Mobile telephone companies and supermarket chains that are owned and controlled by residents are eligible to be promoters of payment bank. So definitely Airtel had opened up this payment bank, so they are allowed, and PATM, which is a supermarket chain, had also allowed this had opened up payment banks. So this is a correct statement. Payment banks can issue both credit and debit cards. So actually payment banks can take deposit only up to 1 lakh. So if you allow credit card, that means you have to give some higher limit, so it can't be given, and therefore credit cards are not issued by the payment banks, only debit cards are given, and they cannot undertake lending activities. This is also correct statement, that they cannot give loans. This is also correct. 1 and 3 becomes the correct statement. With respect to participatory notes, you have to consider the following. Participatory notes are issued by foreign entities, are used by foreign entities who want to get an exposure to Indian equity without getting registered with SEBI. So actually what happens, there are some SEBI registered foreign portfolio investors who buy participatory notes from from in the Indian stock market, and they later transfer these securities to the actual beneficiaries for whom they have purchased these securities. So these securities are bought by FPIs and later transferred to the actual beneficiaries. So what exactly happens, we do not know who these actual beneficiaries are, where they come from, and what is the source of their income, right? So whenever they want, they can pull out all the stocks, and the volatility in the market becomes very high. That is why SEBI has decided to put a lot of restrictions on the issuance of participatory notes. So the statement is, participatory notes are used by foreign entities who want to get an exposure. This is a correct statement, and the second is also a correct statement, as I've just explained you. Question 20 is with respect to Foreign Investment Promotion Board. So this was recently scrapped, and this was announced in the budget also, that it would be scrapped, and it had been scrapped by the Ministry of Finance now. It was marred with corruption scandals. So you would see that Forward Market Commissions was merged with SEBI, but at that time the reason for its merger was that Forward Markets Commission was marred with actually corruption scandal. So was this FIPB also marred with corruption scandals? No, this is not the reason. As over 90% of investment flowing in India is already taking place through automatic route and does not require FIPB node. So government realized that we can do away with this FIPB, which is just like a vestige organ. So it is of no significant use, and therefore government decided to scrap it. So only 2 is the correct option. Now coming to question 21, this is also a question taken from prelims 2017, right? So you must know what type of questions are asked. With respect to goods and services tax, it will replace multiple tax collected by multiple authorities and will thus create a single market in India. This is correct. It will drastically reduce the current account deficit of India and will enable it to increase its foreign exchange reserve. Current account deficit comes into picture only when we talk about balance of payments or when we talk about exports imports. So this goods and services tax is not going to be levied on exports, and therefore this statement is irrelevant. It will enormously increase the growth and size of economy of India. When the word enormously comes into picture, this creates a trouble and will enable it to overtake China in the near future. See, India is a $2 trillion economy, whereas China is $10 trillion economy. Okay, so even if GST provides a big impetus boost thrust to our economy, even then we can reach maybe double of this or 1.5 times of this, right? But reaching almost 5 times is very difficult in the short run, right? Because both these economies are emerging economies, so it is very difficult to overtake China in the near future. So this becomes wrong. So only 1 is correct. Question 22 talks about strategic partnership model, which has recently been approved by Defense Acquisition Council under the Ministry of Defense. So the Indian industries partner would tie up with global original equipment manufacturer to seek technology transfer and manufacturing know-how to set up domestic manufacturing infrastructure and supply chain. So actually under a particular segment, the Indian industry would partner with foreign industry who is the actual manufacturer of a particular product, and they would produce a product together. So this is a correct statement. Talking about statement 2, it will focus on 4 segments, namely fighter aircraft, submarines, armored vehicles and helicopters. So this is also correct statement because it is definitely going to focus on these 4 segments initially, then maybe they can move to more segments later on. So both these statements are correct. Now coming to question number 23rd. So this Svalbard Global Seed Vault facility is basically meant to preserve the seeds of almost all the important food crops of the world, and this is located in a particular country which had, so actually this facility had recently come under threat because of permafrost. Okay, so this is located in Norway, which lies in polar region, and had actually and this facility had actually come under threat because of permafrost around this vault facility. So you must know where this particular vault is located. It is located in Norway. What is the capital of Norway? Write down in the comment section below. Okay. 24 question. The scheme aimed at fortification of food will actually, based on the provisions laid down by FSSAI, the government is planning to fortify the food. Now, what does this fortification of food means? Does the fortification means that we will have enclosures around the PDS to prevent food being stolen? No. Does it mean we will have fortification around FCI buildings to prevent food being stolen? Again, no. Is it going to prevent malnutrition in children? So basically what happens is the food that we eat or the food that is given in midday meal scheme, they lack certain micronutrients and irons and other various minerals that should actually reach the body of a child, and they are being diagnosed with malnutrition, and this malnutrition once happened is very difficult to be treated later on in later stages of life. So what the government is planning to do is to fortify the food products and prevent malnutrition in children. So this is, the answer is 3. For question 25, you would see that the bitcoins, this is again taken from prelims 2016. The question is, with reference to bitcoins, consider the following. Now bitcoins are tracked by central banks of the countries. Anyone with a Bitcoin address can send and receive Bitcoins from anyone else. This is correct. Online payments can be sent without either side knowing the other. This is also correct because you only need to create an address, okay, for sending or receiving Bitcoins. But Bitcoins are not tracked by the central banks of the country. It is actually a virtual currency, and it works based on algorithms, so that everyone who is involved in using this particular currency can know where it, like, not exactly where it is going, but whenever there is some change they can all adjust according to it. So you must read more about how the bitcoins exchange works, and that would be better for you. For example, if question is asked later in the future as well, so you must be well aware of it, because recently there was cyber threat attack, WannaCry ransomware attack, and this ransomware had demanded bitcoins from the users on which it had attacked. So you must read more about bitcoins, what they actually are. So I have told you that this is correct, but this is wrong. Okay, so the answer becomes 2 and 3 only. So this was all about today's MCQs. Hope you liked it. So just go down below in the description. You can reach out to our Facebook page, which would be given in the description below, where you can obtain a consolidated PDFs of today's lecture. Now tomorrow when we come up, we would come up with a new lecture that would be based on I have mentioned it in the earlier slide as well. So we're going to discuss about that, and until then I think it's time to sign off. Goodbye, good night.